Hello, I'm Paul here. Today I'm going to be talking about a new strategy. Well, it's actually it's kind of adding into the formula I've been talking about, but it's a moving average that works really well, and this one is the 9 and 20. Now I use these moving averages in the 9 90-95 as well, so it's kind of a newer, improved strategy. But since I have my 9 90-95 with the moving average lines, what I do is I plug in the 9 and 20. I think it's the 9 and 20. And I use it with a more visual, it's with the EMA difference. It's a difference of two moving averages. So I have both of them on the chart, and they end up, with them together, they end up working really well. So in this video, I kind of want to show you how to use the I've gone over the other the 9 90-95, but today I kind of want to go over plugging in the 9 and the 20 with the EMA difference, and it really helps show points of getting in. Now I do this on the hour, and I can show you there's a lot of good points of getting in when you look at this formula. So I use it for my trading. It helps out a lot. You just find the cross, and then you wait for it to cross again, and usually you'll find some pretty good trades. There's only a couple rare times where it probably won't work for you, so I'm going to show you how to set it up in general, and then I might go over this again with different assets, but because I find that it works really well, I want to kind of go over it multiple times. But anyway, let me show you how to set it up, and we'll look at a couple assets, and basically I'll show you how to, I'll just do a various of different assets today. We'll crypto and stocks, so we'll look at both and see how this can actually improve your chances. Now I do this on the hour. You can do whatever time frame you want, but I find doing this on the hour you get the best results. So that's what I'm going to focus on in this video, especially when you're doing stocks. So anyway, I'll show you how to set it up, and then I'll show you how effective this is. Okay, so to set this up, it's pretty easy here. The first thing I have here is the 9 90-95. I've talked about that in other videos, so I'm not really going to go into it, but that's the first part of the strategy. It works really well. I include that in here. Basically, I have the 9 90-95, and those are my moving average lines. The next thing you see here is my EMA difference. With the EMA difference here, I plug in my 9 and my 20, and it's as simple as that. So instead of having the 920 with the lines, I have them on the EMA difference, which is more, to me, it's more visual. I'm a visual person, so if I see it more visually of when to enter and when to exit with doing 9 and 20 with EMA difference. So, and then I also have something that's close to, RSI, it's stochastic right there, so there's also that. So that's also another confirmation right there. So let's look at the points of getting in. Now the only thing, and the one thing that I might add, is the consolidation indicator. Consolidation. You don't want to do this when it's consolidating. So, but anyway, this is kind of the setup, and it works really well. So let's look at a couple assets real quick. I do this on the hour, especially dealing with the stocks here. So we're going to look at a couple scenarios where you can use this strategy. The biggest thing here and how effective it works is with the stocks and doing the stock market and things like the S&P 500. So if you're doing something like the S&P 500 where it has a constant flow of up and down, you can easily catch those with this setup here. So what you want to look for really is you want to get a confirmation that first you want to look at your EMA difference here, and you want to see if the candles are starting to get weaker. So now I do this on the hour, and because of contracts, if it wasn't because of contracts, I might focus on longer time frames, but because there's contracts, you might get the best results doing it this way. What you want to look for is when the color here starts to get weaker, and then the color changes and it goes either below or above the zero line. So it goes from dark green to light green right here, and it starts going below the zero line. So if you want to look for your signal, it's right when right when it goes from the dark color to the light color, and it either goes below the zero line or above it. So if you want to look for a uptrend, you want to make sure it's going up. Up. It wants to be bright green, and it wants to be above the zero line. And if you want to do a downtrend, it has to be below the zero line after it's been dark green. So you want to look for dark green and then bright red for a downtrend, and then for an uptrend you want to look for a dark red going into a light green here. So I'm going to give a couple examples of how this works. Basically, every time that it goes from here to here, it's basically a cross of the 9 and 20. That's the visual point of when it would actually show up on, with the lines on at the top there. So that's basically the cross point if you have the lines at the top. Like I said, I do this with the EMA difference because it's more visual for me. I can see it clearer, and I can see my points of getting in a lot easier. So anyway, let's just look at a couple examples here of when to get in. Let's look at the stock market real quick. Let's look at the stock market. Let's look at SPY. So let's go to a couple here, and then I also want to look at some other assets. But I have this on the hour, and I think that works the best for the strategy because you can end up getting a lot of good gains. So we see it goes from dark red to green right here. So this would be the point of getting in. You also see with this stochastic right here that it's also above. So you could actually look at your stochastic here and see that it crossed right here. And see that point of it actually getting in was right about here. But I'm trying to base this off of what the EMA difference is saying. But you do have your early warning right here that you could have got in right here and you'd still be fine. But with the 920, you could have got in right here, which is market open, and you could have rode this out. Now, the good thing about the 920 is usually you can follow it. And I'll give you some examples because this is like the end of a market. But you can usually follow it till it stops being that color and you still be fine. I'll give you a couple examples here. It goes from a dark red to a green right here. So if you came in right here, you restarted your option trade right here and you wrote it out. And you wrote it out till, that last green right here. Right about here, you'd still be in a little bit of profit right here. So it still works even, but I preferably, if you're seeing that you're having gains, I probably would have got out here. But you still would be profitable if you got it all the way over here. You'd still be in profit. And that happens usually times if it is the 920, if you follow it all the way until it gets weaker, you usually will find you'll usually still be in profit. But, you could get out earlier or you can get out when it starts getting weaker, but you can literally follow this from the start of it being green to the end of it being green, and most times you'll be in profit. So I'm going to try to give that as a couple examples. There's a couple times here where you got to look out for, but there's only a few times where this might not work as well. Like this moment right here, it wouldn't have worked well. It's consolidating. It's still there's still some moments that won't work well, but for the most part, if you just follow the strategy, it'll lead you to some pretty good results. I'm going to look at a couple more with SPY, then I'm going to move on to some other assets. So right here we see that it's dark green, it goes into light green, so it's above the zero line. It starts right about here, so you can basically ride this out till it gets weaker. You can ride out up to here because you see it getting weaker right about here. You also see that happen with the RSI down there at the bottom. You see it about to cross again. And if you rode this out, you would have made basically $600. If you got out a little bit earlier, you would have made $684. So you would have made around $684 to $600 in that trade. Let's look at a couple more times and show you. This can really show you, and this is another reason I like doing it on the hour, but even if you do it on the hour, I don't like doing past a day, but that's just me. We're especially doing contracts. But you see it, let's zoom in a little bit closer here. You could have rode this entire thing out, but let's just zoom in a little bit here. Catch this whole run here. Now you can't stay longer. Now you see it go from, now this one's a little bit tricky because it goes from, there's no dark green, but if you did get in at this trade right here where it started, you could have rode it out, and you could have rode this entire thing out, and it literally would tell you when it starts getting stronger and the momentum starts going back up again. It's right about here. Right about here. So you could get out right about here. That's when the dark green turns up again. Right about there. So this is a $2,000 move in 10 days. So I personally would not have held it that long. I would have probably only done a day, which would probably been this move right here, which still would have been $700. That small move right there. But you could have rode that entire thing out if you did over a week contract. So this really shows, now this is not 100% strategy, but it does work well. I like doing it on the hour because when you find it on the hour, you can basically, it doesn't happen as often. The signal might happen maybe 2 or 3 times a week. So you literally can do this part-time. And all you do is go on the hour. You wait till you see, for really the perfect trade, you have to wait for it to, the EMA difference to go dark and then go up on the 0 line or down on the 0 line in a bright color. But it works really well. Like in this situation right here, this is consolidation right here, so it might be a little bit tricky of knowing when to get in. So personally, I probably wouldn't pick this move. But you could still base it off of what your RSI is saying right here and get in right here. So if you're still confused about if you should get in, look at your RSI over there. So I'll look at 2 more times. I want to look at how this would work for crypto. If you see it on your RSI, you see RSI is crossing the line right here, so you can get in there. But then you also see the it turn to a bright green right here. This is when the cross happens with the 920. So you ride this one out. And let's do 1 day, 6 hours. So this is about $486. So this works really well for the stock market, doing contracts. You can also do this in Forex and trading it on Forex with SPX. So let's real quickly look at Bitcoin and see if this works for Bitcoin. Now, I used this strategy yesterday when Bitcoin did a little bit of a pump, and it worked really well. I rode a relief rally with Bitcoin, and I made a little bit of profit. So it works too. So right here, the same example, you see it go from dark red, and then it goes to, now in this scenario with this strategy, you don't need contracts, so you can ride this out longer. So what you need to find when you don't have to worry about expiration, you just focus on the moments when it goes from a dark red to a light green or the other way around. And you also need to look at your stochastic down here and see if it's crossing as well. So what you want to check off is, first, do you see it go from a dark red to a light green right about here? Come in right about here, and you also see that happen at the RSI. You know it's a good trade, and you can keep being in this trade because you see it still being green. And you could still be in this trade because it hasn't turned and gone red yet. So this right here, this would have been some pretty good profit. This would have been 2 days, and you would have made some decent profit by trading Bitcoin. So let's look at this moment right here. We see it go from dark green to bright red right here. So you enter here. You also see it crossing on the stochastic here. So you see it come right here. This is the cross of the 9 and 20. You also see it crossing on the stochastic, so you know it's a good trade for a downtrend. And then you ride it out. You can ride it out for as long as you want, but let's just do a day, which is right about here. And you made some profit. So you see the strategy works. It works well. All you basically have to do is check your RSI here, and you check your EMA difference with the 9 and 20, and the moment it goes from a dark red to a light green, or it goes from a dark green, let me see if I can find one. A dark green from a light red. These are your points of entries. These are when the 9 and the 20 are crossing, and it is telling you pretty much the signal of to get in. And for the most part, you could ride it out for a long time, and you could basically ride it out until it, turns red again or turns green again. Like right here would have been a good trade. But, I did this trade yesterday, and I got out right here on this line, but it appears it's still going up. So I did make profit, but I could have still made more. But anyway, this strategy works well. It works well for stocks, works well for crypto, and it works well for all the other assets. I'll probably go over the strategy again, but probably not for a couple of videos. I kind of wanted to give a basic rundown of the strategy with a couple assets. I wanted to run it through the stocks and crypto, the main ones here. But I'm definitely going to be going back, and I'm definitely going to be talking about this strategy again. I just wanted to give you guys a quick video on how this works, because it helped me make my gains yesterday, and I find that it works really well. For me, I'm a visual person, and I like having the 9 and 20 on the EMA difference. You can put this with the lines, but since my lines are the 9, 90, 95, I prefer having it this way. You can flip it. You could probably make the 9 and the 90 in the EMA difference, and the other way around, but I think this way works the best. But anyway, if you guys like this video, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys in future videos.